audio coming through that feed as well? Okay, perfect. I can't. Okay. Okay, just give me a countdown from 5 to 3. And good morning. Coming to you live for KRIM's Community Spotlight as we do the first Tuesday of every month from Plant Fair Nursery 60 in Star Valley. And of course, Glenn McComb with us today. And Glenn, as I understand it today, we're going to start off with kind of a focus on fall color and stuff, but you have some things to talk about as far as things that we can do with our soil right now this time of year as well.
Yes, of course. Yeah, what I'd like to do is this time of the year, we're already into November. This is, so what we thought we'd do this segment is we would just talk about some of the things that you should be doing this time of the year. Of course, things that were growing beautifully all summer long are now all starting to change. We're getting a lot of different color, and so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some of these that I have around me here, and describe some of the trees and the bushes and some of their nature and what you can expect in your own landscape. But first, what we'd like to do is talk about a couple of things that you could do like in your garden. So what a lot of people do this time of the year is as summertime goes away and the tomatoes are all pulled out of the garden, vegetable garden, and marigolds are all now frosted and you're pulling them all out. We're wondering what to do with that ground if you're not going to plant a fall or winter garden. What can we do to help alleviate the bugs, and what should we do to make the garden better for next year? And one of the things that we can do, of course, is I always recommend good old composted mulch. And I don't happen to have a bag here, but certainly if most of those folks who shop with us are all very familiar with our composted mulch bag, and we just recommend that you work that into the soil after you've pulled everything all out. But what do we do about bugs? And this has become a real good organic way to get rid of most overwintering or harboring bugs that may be down in the ground, or as we say, soil-borne bugs. Number one is grubs. You know, that beetle will lay its eggs, and then those eggs will hatch, and then you have the little larva, looks like a white curl, and that will be grubworm, and those are definitely root eaters. So if you leave them there, of course they'll survive all winter long, and then as soon as you plant in the spring, they'll be right in there to start eating the roots of your vegetables or flowers or whatever you have. So this is beneficial nematodes, and just a brief description of how we use this is it comes in a little cup inside. Actually, I guess I could show you that. A little cup inside like this, and this one has approximately 7 million nematodes in there. Counted them this morning. Didn't have time to name them, but they're all inside of here. And I can show you what it looks like, but I'd rather not expose them out to any light because they're very. And it's a very, very easy process. They provide you with this little bag, and all you do is just put it over top. Take the lid off, of course, put it over top of it, pour it all into the bag, and then you would throw that into a 5-gallon bucket. And then from that bucket, you would let that cure for about a half hour, maybe even an hour. That way they'll all leave the bag into the water. And then you take about 4 ounces into a 2.5-gallon sprinkling can, and that you would just bathe your garden with that. So one of these will cover up to 2,000 square feet. So you can do a big, big area with this. And what happens is you water the grass real good. good, you put you water the garden rural, then you put this on, and then you water it again, and that will drive them down into the soil, which they immediately start to hunt for any kind of an insect that's down in the ground. And we know that there are a lot of insects that will overwinter in your garden. Squash bugs, grub worms, of course, is the number one thing, but many, even thrips. There's lots of things that will go down into the ground, and this will immediately attack them. Of course, nothing gets rid of everything 100%, but it will highly reduce the population. We've been using this now in our two community gardens, Star Valley and the one on Tyler Parkway, Payson Community Garden, for a few years now, and we have really toned down and almost eliminated grubs, and we're hoping now that it will start working better on squash bugs, because a couple of the gardens have really bad squash bug problems. But anything that's overwintering, this is really going to get in there and literally they infect it, and then they kill that bug. So it's a very easy thing. You don't have to completely clean out your garden. Your garden can be still full of even your winter crops like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli. You just pour it right over top of them, won't hurt them a bit. This does not work on anything that's above the soil. They have to be down in the soil in order for that to work. So a good idea. I'm understanding from a lot of our growers, they're using it in their potting soils. They're using it in that they're going to plant their plants like these in to keep the bugs down without contaminating the water or without contaminating the soil with harsh chemicals. So it's not 100%, won't get rid of 100% of the bugs, but it pulls the population down so that you're not annoyed by all of these bugs, and the bugs will increase every year until you do something about it. So that's beneficial nematode, and highly recommended. If you don't have 2,000 square feet, check and see if your neighbor could share it with you. You know, maybe a gardening neighbor or somebody you know who could use it. Then that way you can share it, and then it's not so expensive. The other thing that we can do, fruit trees right now are all starting to lose their leaves for winter, and but the bugs are pretty well going away. Well, where do they go away? Some of the bugs are going to overwinter in the ground. You use the nematodes, but above ground they can get in the little cracks and crevices on fruit trees, and we highly recommend Dormant Spray. And all it is basically is a mineral oil, and you spray it on the tree, and that will get right into those little cracks and crevices and kill out anything that's going to overwinter, and kind of catch them before they can get through the winter. That will help you with next year. Instead of coming out trying to eliminate the bugs after the leaves are all on it, then you're going to be eliminating them even before they can get going in the spring. So highly recommended for fruit trees, shade trees, most any kind of a tree that is going to lose its leaves and where you've had bugs and problems in the past. Highly recommend you do that for winter. Definitely in orchards, highly used in orchards all over the world, literally, to get rid of those winter type stuff. The other thing is good old weeds, and this one is called Weed Free Zone, and it's by Fertilome, but it's designed to use in cooler weather. So one of the reasons why we like to do this talk is to make sure that the word gets out about certain chemicals and how they're used, and when is the very best time to use it, because timing in gardening is basically everything. We sell a product called Killzall, and we highly recommend that starting when it starts to warm up, April, May, somewhere right around in there, and it works as a weed killer best whenever it's hot. The hotter it is, the better it is. The faster the weed's growing, the better the kill. That's with Killzall. But then we use that all summer long, and then once we start getting into fall, the nights are cool. I know know, in the 40s in Payson, here in Star Valley, the 30s were almost 5 to 10 degrees colder. So those Kills-All products don't work as well. They work over a longer period of time. And we're used to spraying those weeds, and we want to see them die. We want to spray them at 10 o'clock in the morning and see them dead by 2. And as we get cooler, that's just not going to happen. It can take days, and in some weeds, if it kills them at all. So we want to use one that will take care of those weeds, but in cooler temperature. So highly recommend that you put the Kills-All away, and for winter weeds, for weeds that are around when it's cool, this weed-free zone is going to be the one, or a similar product like that. But this happens to be the one that we sell, and we like it real well. Of course, we always say the number one way to get rid of weeds is mechanical. In other words, with a hoe or a hula hoe or a regular hoe, get rid of them. But most of us would like to just be able to put something in a sprayer, spray those weeds, and watch them go away. And don't blame me, I like to do that myself. So that's not a bad idea. So those are just the basics that we need to be done. Of course, there's a whole world of other things that can be done, but this is the basics of things that need to be done. So we'll talk a little bit about all of our things that will give you winter color. And next in line here was our Pansies, Violas, and Snapdragons. So either fortunately or unfortunately, we've sold out of all the other colors of blooming pansies, but we do have a nice big shipment coming tomorrow, Wednesday, and we'll have all of our colors back in stock again, so not to worry. But this is a pansy, like this beautiful winter bloomer. And a lot of folks say, no, there's nothing that's going to bloom in the winter. What about the snow? We have planted our little barrel right up there by our front gate every single year for probably 25 years or so, and those plants grow real well. The pansies grow real well. They bloom all winter long, and then even when there's snow, I've seen 3 feet of snow on top of that barrel, and brush the snow away, and the pansy looks just like this underneath there and still in bloom. A good plant for winter. Then and this does come in a lot of colors, yellows and whites, and there's what we call blotches, which it might have a yellow bloom on the outside, like this would be yellow on the outside, and then a real dark black in the inside. And there's just many variations of that beautiful winter color. Then this is a Viola, which is, I just call it a smaller pansy. You see how pretty that is. It's just a real pretty thing. Something blooming in the wintertime, cheer us all up. And Lord knows we need that right now. But these are really good winter bloomers also. You can mix them with these. That'll be fine. Just plant pots on your patio with these, and you'll have some color all winter long. If you keep the snow off, of course, then that may not press them down. They may look a little bit better, but they will also take it right outside. I always like to include Snapdragons when we're talking about these, because Snapdragons give you a centerpiece for a pot, and then these go in all the way around it. So that still gives you color. Snapdragons will not bloom all winter long like the pansies or violas will, but they will give you some good color right up until it gets to its coldest, and then once it comes out of that cold again, then they'll start all over again in the spring and go all the way until summer. These like the winter time. They like it from September all the way through till about June, and then generally in June they start looking pretty rugged, and that's when most folks just pull them up out of the pots or out of the gardens, and they put in things like marigolds and Vinca and that sort of thing. So kind of trade. So really you can get almost a half a year out of these. We've had people come in and tell us that no, they just leave them in there year round, and they still do real well and may last 1 to 2 years. We always change them out, I guess, just because we like to see something else, but they're really a good wintertime bloomer. So just a little bit of a history lesson. My family had nurseries in Canada, and they used to field grow these. They would plant them in the fall in Canada in the ground, and then in the springtime they would start coming out, get nice and big, and my dad would take a lady would come out and say, "I'll take that one, and that one." He'd take the shovel, pop it out of the ground, put it in a little cardboard box, and off she'd go and plant it in her own garden. Those are the days before we had this nice plastic packs and all of that. That's how they did it. So anyway, just trivia. So the next one here is just kind of an incredible plant. This one is called Belgium mum, or Chrysanthemum. And the question is all the time, how do you get this to look just like this? And generally speaking, in chrysanthemums, in order to make these look like this, you have to pinch about a ½ inch off of the stem as it comes up, so that it'll make many buds over the whole entire plant, so that it will look like this. Belgium mum, however, has been bred just to grow like this, and so there's very little pinching done. They may pinch a little bit in the early stages of this in the greenhouses where we have these grown, but it's going to look just exactly like this all up on top. And of course they come in reds, and they come in whites, and they come in yellows, and a great fall bloomer. And then it's also a good perennial for us. It will last all the way until we start getting a lot colder. Then you'll see these start dying back, and then it will go dormant during the winter time, and then in the springtime it'll come back out green again and set itself up to be blooming again like this in the fall, which I believe these started probably somewhere in September, and just started slowly budding and coming out till they were in absolute full bloom at this time of the year. This is just, to me, remarkable how a plant could just do this on its own without help with pinching and kind of sculpting it to make it look like that. Beautiful Belgium Chrysanthemum, and available at Plant Fair Nursery, of course. The next in line here is some things with a little bit of color on them. This one is Vinca, where a lot of folks are looking for things that will be green all winter long as a ground cover or as a hanging basket, and this one certainly does qualify for that. You can see it doesn't happen to have a bloom right now, but it has a real pretty picture there what the bloom will look like all summer long, and good tough one. The beauty of this one is elk don't eat it, and so you can be in pine, strawberry, you can be in payson, anywhere along the rim, come Colcord, Christopher Creek, anywhere in there, and it's going to survive for you. It's going to look real nice. The elk may step on it, but they are not going to eat it, or they haven't eaten it yet, so we hope they never get a taste for those, but it's been a real good one. You may have to control it. It wants to grow, so you may have to just take your shovel and do a little line across it just to keep it back, to keep it in within the areas. If you're just trying to cover a large area and don't really worry about it, just let it go, because it will take off. Looks good year-round, winter and summer. A really good staple for a ground cover for this whole entire rim country. These two here are both what we call euonymus, and this one happens to be Emerald Gayety, which is actually all summer long. It's going to be white and green, but it's taking on a pink tint in the winter time, so it gives you kind of a third color during the winter time, and the colder it is, the pinker it gets, and then as we wake up for springtime, it will then start coming back out with its white and green again. Really pretty. And then this one is called Emerald and Gold, and no, that's not the name of it. This one is Emerald and Gold, sure enough. And it is, of course, gold color and green, just a little different color. You can match these to the color of your house, Good for pots. They'll hang down in a pot. You can also put them out a real good indestructible ground cover. And it also makes like a little ball. 3 feet tall. You can see that this one is starting to shoot out like this. I have seen this. If you let that go, it can go right up the side of a wall. If you want to contain it, you just simply clip it, and that will take care of it. It'll make it be a real uniform looking, or just let it go. Evergreen, green year round. Like I say, just changes the colors just a little bit. So over here we have this particular one with this beautiful, I'm not even sure if that's a full red, it's kind of red to pink fall color. And this one is called Spirea VanHootie. And good old Spirea has been around forever. It's one of the old time common flowering shrubs. And they're all over the United States, and maybe not so much in the desert areas, although I have seen them down there, but they really do well here. And the beauty of this spring, it will put out these long shoots like this, can be as much as 3 feet of just nothing but little white flowers. And it's been called bridal veil, which my understanding is back in the day, they would cut it and then they would use it for a band for a new bride, because it would have all of the beautiful white flowers on it. But in the garden, it's just a mass of white flowers, and then it's green all summer long, and then this beautiful color comes on in the fall. This one is a little hard to see because it's kind of tall, but you see all the red leaves beginning to come out on this one. Green all summer long. This one is called burning bush, and it's called burning bush, biblical. It just turns bright red in the fall. It looks like it's so red it looks like it's on fire. And a real good one for part sun. Actually, it grows out in full sun. Good where it gets morning sun, afternoon shade. A real good, tough plant. Shrub-wise, let's see, these are all trees, so we'll talk about them in a minute. This one is another kind of a Spirea. You see how it's really turning a real red, and you see the yellow in it, and it also has green. And the yellow is actually what it is. It's a golden Spirea, same family as this one, but it's a golden in color. Has a pink bloom on it in the summertime, and then in the fall it just turns this real red. It's not done turning yet. It still has a lot of other color, so it's going to keep right on turning. So the next one then is this is the Barberry, and this one is a red Barberry, but the beauty of this one is it has a real red all summer long, and then in the fall the red changes to a lighter red, almost pink influence, and gives you a real multiple color in the fall. Doesn't get very large. This one happens to be a dwarf. It's only going to get about 18 inches, maybe 2 feet tall, but a real good asset. They look beautiful, all maybe planted in odd numbers, 1s, 3s, 5s, 6, 5, 7s, along a walkway or along a wall, along the garden, and they kind of grow in together. Gives you real beauty where a lot of things are green. Gives you an alternate color. And then one of Rim Country's favorites has got to be this. This is Nandina. This one happens to be Sienna Sunrise, and Sienna Sunrise has turned out just to be the very best one. You can see the greens in here now. You can see the reds. These are just now starting to change, and they're going to start working themselves into a real bright red. But the new growth is kind of a coral color. You see the coral all up in the top like that, and it does that on and off all summer long. As it gets new growth, it can be this kind of a lightish coral color, and then it can get more color, then it can get a little red, But in the wintertime, this one is just solid red, and it's just beautiful. If anybody's in Case and wants to see them, there's a couple of them right at one of the entryways at Julia Child School. Julia Child, right? Anyway, yeah.
Or Julia Randall.
Julia Randall. Well, I'm thinking of food.
That's right. It's that time of the day, you know.
Julia Randall. There you go. Anyway, in front of her, the school named after her, and they're absolutely beautiful. This one is another Spirea, and this one is also a gold one, and it's a little bit more red, very, very similar to this other one over here. Just another one of those, but it's more of a dwarf, a little bit smaller. This one here is another Nandina. It's called Nandina Nana. And what Nandina Nana does is it only grows about 2 feet tall, mounds, and then has, as you can see, red leaves and purple leaves, and its botanical name is Nandina purpurea, and that's where they get the purpurea in there, and we'll change different colors and even some reds, purples, and yellows during the winter time. So almost bright green, little bit of purple in them. So the next one is this is actually you see them all over now. At the entrance to Chaparral Pines Drive, there is some of these right out in front, right here on 260. This is the Plume, is just now starting to come out. Beautiful white Plume, can be 18 inches to 2 feet tall. Dwarf, because this only gets about 4 feet tall. Absolutely gorgeous. It's ivory feathers pampas grass. A beautiful, beautiful one. And then I'm kind of hurrying because we're running out of time. This is a camellia called Ice Angels. These buds form in the fall, and then they will come out in full bloom about February, March. Beautiful, and it's a camellia that's for this elevation, zone 6, for our area here, and do very, very well. There's a lot of them here now, and they're really all doing well. And then last is, I wanted to explain a little bit about this ball and burlap. So a lot of people are buying our trees, and trees elsewhere also, by the way, and they come across this ball, and it's kind of puzzling because usually you buy something in a pot, and that pot has roots all in it. You throw the pot away, that goes down into the ground, and you're done. This particular one in rows, just like a farmer's crop, and they have a ball and burlap. These, what you need to do is to plant these is leave the burlap on them, leave the cord on them, don't touch it at all, because that is holding this whole entire ball together. This is burlap, it's a fabric, and it just rots. The roots will go absolutely right through it. The only thing you would want to do, and I know you can't see it from there, but this cord here is wrapped around the trunk as part of the way to hold it on there. You'll need to cut that so it's no longer wrapped around the trunk, but it will it can girdle it over time, even though it's just jute and it does rot, but you don't want it to girdle that trunk. So, but leave this on there. You kill the tree and yourself trying to get that off. So it's much, much better just to leave that on there. So these are just gorgeous trees. You can see how beautiful that is, and the reason why they're this beautiful and this full is because they grow them in the ground, and then they can take them right out of the ground and put them in a pot to help hold it, to make sure there's moisture and everything, and then that gives us this beautiful tree that it takes like about 1 year, maybe even 2, to get rooted out and start growing again for you. So you must be patient.
And Glenn, what are the hours here at Plant Fair Nursery in Star Valley?
We're here, we're actually on COVID hours still, and We're 8:30 to 5 every day, except Sunday 9 to 4.
All right. And again, just a wealth of information and an amazing inventory of all kinds of different plants. But if you have a question on what grows best in your type of situation, Glenn and the folks here at Plant Fair Nursery definitely have the answers for you. Glenn, it's always a pleasure to be out here with you, and we do this the first Tuesday of every month, so make sure you tune in again on the first Tuesday in December when we talk about some other interesting plant topics from Plant Fair Nursery. And for KRIM Community Spotlight, I'm Randy Roberson. Been a pleasure being with you today, and we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Got a lot more coming up for you, so stick around.